IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today's fun fact of the day has to do with Buckingham Palace. Did you know that Buckingham Palace is the most expensive home in the world, valued at 1.17 billion pounds? It has 775 rooms, including 188 staff rooms, 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 78 bathrooms, and 92 offices. I can only imagine what must have gone through the mind of that person trying to put a value to this beautiful home. However, more than the physical property itself and the obscene number of rooms and offices, etc., the value the property has is also historical in nature. The home of kings and queens, a palace steeped in history and simmered in conspiracies and secrets. Now, most of us have no hope in hell of owning a 1.17 billion pound home. But let's understand a few principles from this. What makes a home worth more or increase in value? At first, it's the price of the land itself. And depending on how desirable that land is, the price increases. Very often, we believe that we have no control over this aspect. However, look at Dubai. Worthless land that was transformed over years to one of the most expensive real estates in the world. On land that would have been considered dead, the sheikhs added value and transformed it into something desirable. After the land comes the foundation of the property. A deep, strong foundation is essential for a property to last long. Then finally, the structure. How well it's designed, the aesthetics, the value added from the design all make it more desirable. Then the amenities all add more and more value, all finally leading to a property that is worth a lot more than the land that was originally existing. I get a lot of questions from people about increasing one's self-worth. And the example I just gave is the perfect way to begin thinking about your self-worth. You are born, and that is the land that exists. Your roll of the dice with your parents' DNA. Completely out of control. But everything you did after that is all you. Just like Dubai, you have the ability to add value to what was given to you, to enhance it, to make it more. The food that you eat, the exercise that you do, all adds to your life. You then work on your foundation. The habits that keep you strong and disciplined. The habits that keep you consistent. The quality of your life is based on these principles. So start here. Focus on these 6 things that make your foundation strong. Your nutrition, your exercise, your sleep, your de-stressing ability, your hydration, and breathing. With a strong foundation, you can now begin constructing a beautiful life. A life that you add so much value to that it becomes insanely desirable. Let me give you a few examples of this. Learn a hobby that is valuable. For example, playing the guitar. I remember this boy in college. All the girls wanted to be around him because he would play this guitar so beautifully in the break and he would sing so well. Work on your intelligence, your knowledge. Add value to people's lives with what you know and how you share it. For example, you're learning from this podcast. Add value to the people's lives around you from what you've learned from this podcast. Value could come in the form of material things as well, like the friend who owns a car and drops everyone home, or the friend who owns a cool house and hosts all the parties. The point of this episode is not to force you to do any of these things. The point of this episode is to make you realize that what you have currently in your life is just the starting point. In order to increase your sense of self-worth, you have to keep adding value. Be on a constant lookout for ways to add more value. And value comes from the things you desire and others desire as well. Like it or not, almost all of us evaluate ourselves by how others see us. It is one of those unfortunate truths. And my job is not to lie to you and make you feel good about yourself. My job is to tell you the truth and show you ways to overcome these issues. So keep adding value. Slowly, you will begin to feel more confident. That confidence itself will become insanely desirable and others will want to be around that confidence. So your simple habit to increase your self-worth starts by working on the foundation of your life first. The 6 areas that I mentioned. Then add value to your life. Skills, hobbies, things, jobs, relationships, all that add value to you. Because the more value that you add, the more confidence you will gain, the higher will be your self-worth. As your habit coach, I just want you to have that awesome life. And it starts by adding value to it, little by little. Usually in a podcast, it's me who speaks to you and you who listens. But I've been seeing your comments and it's time. It's me listening to you. Following the overwhelming success of this podcast, the good folks at IVM Podcast Network have decided to come up with a Kannada adaptation of the show for those who prefer listening to it in that language. Do make sure you let your Kannada speaking friends know about this as well. So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Agla Station Adulthood, Ritash and Ayushi speak to Marissa Mays. She is the curator of No More Lonely Friends. They discuss toxic friendships and pandemic loneliness. Also, do check out Probation Se Promotion Tak with Abhinav Trivedi. He will help you make your CV stand out when you're looking for a job. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam and Soumya Shah, co-founder of Tarakki, discuss what the current trends are in the wealth management industry. On All Things Policy, the folks from the Takshashila Institute shed light on the implication of China's infrastructure building in Tibet. And on Tere Mere Raste, Keshav tells us about a small village in the Himalayas called Tirugi Narayan. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. We'd also really appreciate any ratings or reviews you can give us on any of the platforms that we're listening on, whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, or IVM Podcast app. Wherever you're listening, do let us know that you are listening. I'd also like to remind you all that we have a number of YouTube channels where a number of shows are available. You can go to ivmpodcast.com/YouTube to check out what channels we have. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and Intel. Thank you so much for making this possible.
If you're a cricket fan, check out Edges and Sledges, India's favorite cricket podcast.
The podcast focuses on Indian cricket, the IPL, and has a ton of banter both on and off the field.
We talk about the week's biggest cricket stories with current and ex-international cricketers, coaches, or sometimes just between us.
And it's hosted by me, DJ.
Me, Varun.
And me, Ashwin.
New episodes release every week.
You can catch us on the IVM Podcast's website, app,
or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.